You are now about to witness the strength of street knowledge.
Alright, my name is Raul. What's yours? Hey.
I'm Crystal.
Crystal. Nice to meet you, Crystal. Is that spelled with a K or a C?
C-R-Y-S-T-A-L.
C-R-Y-S-T-A-L. Okay. Nice to meet you, Crystal.
Nice to meet you.
So I'm doing interviews asking people to identify some belief they hold to. It can be anything at all. And I would like to interview you concerning like how you arrived at whatever that belief is. With the focus being on like the how question of like how did you get there? How did you establish that that thing, whatever it is true? And like I said, it can be any belief at all, just something that is deeply held, something that is kind of foundational, and something that you're fairly convinced of. So maybe we can start with, would you like to identify maybe just some belief that you hold to that falls within those?
I'm a Christian. I believe in God. And
Okay.
I think I got there with just my family and my dad taking me to church every Sunday. When I was a kid, I don't go as much as I should now, but my dad built that foundation for me. So.
Okay. So you're a Christian because of your family, because you went to church growing up?
Yeah, and I believe in the Word.
Okay. What do you mean when you say you believe in the Word?
I believe that God is real and that, I go to church and I believe that God is real and I believe that everything we do and everything that we have is because of Him.
Okay. So maybe we can explore your belief that God is real. Does that sound good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So can I ask you, how do you know that this belief is true? So you told me like why you believe it has to do with your upbringing and so forth, but how do you know that this thing is true?
Just by the blessings I receive and just by the feeling that I get when I go to church. It's a feeling that's undescribable. Like I don't know how to, really describe it because I feel like it's God talking to me or touching me or reaching out to me. But like I just feel it in my. I feel it within. I don't feel it like physically. I just feel it spiritually.
Okay. Let's talk about you said the blessings you received. What do you mean by that?
Just by breathing, being able to like maintain myself, being able to not fall apart. Like there are many times I wanted to give up, but then like something told me like no. And it's like sometimes I feel like it's not even me getting up doing what I have to do. It's like God like walking with me.
And what about that makes you think that it's God?
Just because I can't explain it, and that like the essence and the essence of like I don't know. I can't really describe it. The essence of just feeling His presence, or just knowing the fact that like I can't explain it. Yeah, that was like,
Okay. So you said feeling His presence.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on that? What do you mean when you say feeling His presence?
Just knowing He's like around me. Just knowing that no matter what I'm doing, He's like always here. He's like above, here. If I call Him, I can talk to Him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it possible that you can have those kind of feelings and yet your belief not be true that God exists?
It could be possible, but it would be hard for me not to believe.
How would you distinguish between it being one or the other? So you said you think that those feelings that you get are due to God existing. How would you tell the difference between it being because God exists and it being something other than that?
How can I tell the difference between it?
Yeah, I guess I'm asking. Yeah, like how do you, if we have like two explanations here for these feelings that you're receiving. On the one hand, we have your belief that God exists, explaining it, and on the other hand, we have just some other non-God explanation. How would you tell the difference? How would you verify that it's this rather than this? It's God rather than something else?
I haven't had that feeling, so I guess I wouldn't know how to like identify it. But I think I would just kind of.
You haven't had what feeling? What do you mean?
The feeling of not knowing whether it was something else other than God, like walking me through. So I wouldn't know how to like go about it. I guess I just wouldn't. The only thing I would say is I wouldn't question God's presence from somebody else's presence. Like I feel like I know His presence differently from other things or another spiritual thing. Like that's somewhat. I don't know that feeling that you're describing, but
well, it's the feeling that I'm describing is the same feeling that you're whatever you're describing. It's that feeling that I mean, I don't know, how would you, I guess let me ask you that. What do you mean when you say that you get this feeling that God is present? What exactly do you mean?
Like, I feel like somebody's watching over me and
Okay.
guiding me through life.
Okay, so let me ask it this way. Is it possible for you to feel like somebody, to have that feeling, that very feeling that you just described, where you feel like someone's watching over you? Is it possible for you to have that feeling and yet somebody not really be watching over you? In other words, you'd be mistaken?
So you're saying, is it possible for me to be mistaken that God is not watching over me? Could that happen?
Yeah, is it possible for you to have the feeling that somebody's watching over you and yet that not be the case? Is that a possibility for you to be mistaken?
I guess it could be a possibility, but like I said, it would take a while for me to believe it, or I don't know. Yeah.
What would convince you that you were wrong concerning this belief? What would convince you that the feelings that you're receiving, that as far as you feeling like somebody's watching over you, what would convince you that it's not actually due to God? What would you accept as evidence that it's not God after all?
Nothing. I don't think I would accept anything. Like, it's just my personal belief, and since it's my personal belief, I'm going to stick to it, and I'm going to keep believing in it and keep having faith in Him, no matter what anybody says or no matter what anybody brings to me. It's just something I believe in. It's like, it's nothing I can just go back. It's like, oh, you proved this to me, or like, oh, you brought this to me to show that this isn't real. And I'm like, it's just nothing that nobody could tell me or anybody could say that, so I can explain my feelings or the feeling that I have when He overcomes me. Then they can't sit here and say, oh, this is this and this and this, because what I feel for God is like different. So I don't think nothing could like really prove to me like, oh, this is God's not real or nothing, because they don't know God like I know God, and they don't know my personal experience with Him. So I can't judge based 18 years off of personal experience with God based off of somebody bringing me some evidence that they have. Just my opinion.
What if somebody cited as evidence for the existence of their God something similar to what you're saying, where let's say a Muslim, for instance, said, I know that Allah exists because I feel His presence with me in every waking moment, and that's their evidence for why they know He exists. How would that evidence be? Well, I guess, do you think that evidence would be sufficient to establish the truthfulness of the existence of Allah?
I would respect their beliefs, and I respect their opinion. And maybe they do feel somebody other than God, and that's cool with them. But I feel God's presence around me, and they feel Islam's presence around them. So it's like, that's them and I am me. We're two different people, and we have two different upbringings. So it's like, who am I to tell them that, oh no, like, He's not real, God is real? Like, they may feel like it's the different person or something.
So, but from your point of view, are they mistaken?
No. They can believe what they want. They can,
So I understand what you're saying when you say they can believe what they want. But my question is what they believe in grounded in reality from your perspective?
I'm not sure. I can't give an answer to that.
How do I, like, as an objective observer, let's say I'm trying to decide whether or not your God exists or their God exists, how do I weigh your experience and their experience to figure out which one is leading to a more accurate conclusion?
That's like, I think, personally, like, I know this sounds really corny, but you can feel it, and you kind of just know something will come to you, which one you rather believe in or which one you don't believe in, or if you don't even believe in both. Like, I feel like personally, like, I know I believe in God, they know they believe in Islam, and if you had to decide between which one of those, it's just like something that you would know or something that would come upon you, or yeah.
Okay. Would you agree that your belief in your God and their belief in their God are mutually exclusive? In other words, if yours is true, theirs is not, and vice versa?
No, I don't believe that.
So do you think both the Christian God and the Muslim God can exist at the same time?
I believe that people who believe in different things, they could believe in that, and it may be real, may not be real. So, I don't believe that because my God exists, that their God doesn't.
Mm-hmm. So are you saying that your God and their God can exist, that this can both be existing?
I'm saying they can believe what they want. I'm saying if that's what they want to do and that's what they believe in, by all means necessary, go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
I know what I believe in. I know what I stand for. So it's like,
I see what you're saying. You don't want to necessarily say that you want to forbid them from believing what they want. The question I'm asking is a little different from that. I'm not asking can they believe what they want. I'm asking can both of your beliefs be true at the same time?
can both of them believe the truth? I believe so. I think we can both believe in different things. I mean, it's a free world.
Mm-hmm. But if your God says, I'm the only God, and do you have to go here in a minute?
Yeah, I have to go to the library.
All right, can I ask you one more question?
Yeah.
If your God says that I am the only God, then how is it the case, how can it possibly be the case that their God exists? Because if your God is true, that means that there is no other God. In other words, Allah or no other God exists. So how can they both be true at the same time?
I'm not sure. I just don't want to, criticize somebody else for believing in something else.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe in my God and I believe in His Word. So I'm more worried about nobody else's relationship with Him. I'm just worried about mine, and I believe in what He says and tells me and how He speaks to me. So I really don't have an answer to it.
All right, Crystal, thanks a lot. I know you got to go, but I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Yeah.